Welcome to Lost Lore, AI, the channel where ancient mysteries meet modern machines. Here, we don't dismiss myths and rituals as mere superstition. Instead, we use cutting-edge artificial intelligence to reveal the hidden logic woven into the practices of the past. And today, we ask a question that has baffled historians for centuries. Why did ancient civilizations sacrifice the very resources they needed most? Food, treasure, even lives? For a long time, scholars labeled these acts as irrational or superstitious. But when we let AI analyze the data, the truth that emerged was startling. These weren't random acts of desperation. They were part of a system, an ancient formula for risk management. Imagine a community on the edge of famine. The crops are failing, the rivers running dry, and instead of hoarding their grain, the people burn it in fire. Instead of clinging to treasure, they bury it deep in the earth. To us, this looks like waste. But AI revealed it wasn't waste at all. It was an investment. By ingesting thousands of records, from Sumerian temple ledgers, Norse sagas, Celtic hordes, and Aztec codices, and cross-referencing them with paleoclimate data like tree rings, ice cores, and flood layers, the machine uncovered a pattern so consistent it could be described as an algorithm. The results were jaw-dropping. For every predicted 10% loss in agricultural yield, the value of ritual offerings rose by roughly 15%. Minor droughts triggered grain offerings, longer famines brought livestock or treasure, and existential threats brought the most precious sacrifices of all. Across continents and centuries, cultures that never met each other all followed the same proportional rule. This was not chaos, it was calculus. A predictive algorithm of risk, written not on parchment or spreadsheets, but in ritual and fire. Take the Aztec Empire, for instance. Their large-scale sacrifices have long puzzled scholars. But when codices were aligned with tree-ring drought data, the pattern became clear. The most intense rituals coincided with years of catastrophic crop failure. The sacrifices scaled with the crisis, as if priests were recalibrating a formula in real time. The same was true in Celtic Europe, where gold and weapons were buried in bogs during agricultural decline, and in Norse sagas, where livestock were sacrificed during volcanic winters that darkened the skies. Even in ancient Sumer, temple offerings of grain and beer rose proportionally with the scale of floods along the Tigris and Euphrates. In every case, the rituals were less about appeasing gods and more about encoding proportional responses to natural disasters. Consider Egypt. The Nile was their lifeline, and its annual flood could mean abundance or starvation. Historical records describe elaborate offerings made during years of erratic floods, when the waters either failed to rise high enough to irrigate the fields or surged too high and destroyed crops. By comparing temple inscriptions with sediment data along the Nile, the AI revealed the same proportional increase. Larger offerings and festivals during years of greater instability. It was as though Egyptian priests, cloaked in religious ceremony, were conducting a risk audit of the river. Similarly, in the high Andes, the Inca practiced capacocha, ritual sacrifices of children during times of drought or volcanic activity. When volcanic ash layers were compared with Inca records, the AI showed the same scaling formula. The more catastrophic the environmental shift, the more valuable and symbolic the offering. And across the oceans, Polynesian navigators faced the terror of an unpredictable Pacific. Oral traditions speak of offerings cast into the sea before great voyages or during the arrival of fierce storms. These rituals, long dismissed as superstition, showed the same proportional pattern when cross-referenced with ocean current reconstructions and El Niño cycles. Risk on the waves was managed by sacrifice, an investment in survival expressed through ritual. Now, here's where the past collides with the present in a way that makes us rethink everything. Picture a split-screen image. On one side, an Aztec priest offering value to stabilize the rains. On the other, traders on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, frantically selling off assets during a market crash. They may seem worlds apart, yet both are acts of sacrificing value to appease an unpredictable system. Both are attempts to tame chaos by following perceived patterns. Both are, at their core, insurance premiums paid to survive an uncertain tomorrow. Just as Wall Street traders read financial indicators, ancient priests read the stars, the soil, and the skies. Just as modern insurers calculate premiums, ancient cultures calculated sacrifice. Different tools, same human logic.
This is the holy shit moment our AI uncovered. Not just a vague correlation, but a consistent mathematical principle, an ancient insurance formula. Humanity, without spreadsheets or supercomputers, had devised a way to encode risk into ritual. To say, in essence, the bigger the threat, the bigger the sacrifice. It was a survival strategy wrapped in sacred language, but one that reveals the same rationality that drives modern economics. So what does this mean for how we see our ancestors? For centuries, we've called them superstitious, irrational, even barbaric. But this new perspective elevates them. They were not foolish or primitive. They were brilliant observers of patterns, turning collective memory into predictive strategy. Their gods were personifications of forces they couldn't fully explain: weather, famine, disease. But their rituals were not random prayers. They were data-driven actions, proportional responses to risk, encoded in symbolic acts. And perhaps the most profound revelation is that nothing has changed. Today, we call it insurance. We pay money into a system we hope we'll never need to pay out. We hedge bets on markets, invest in risk management, and design models to predict catastrophe. The names have changed, the temples are now banks, the gods are actuarial tables, but the formula is the same. What AI uncovered is not superstition at all, but the timeless logic of sacrifice. Give up something valuable today to survive tomorrow. This is Lost Lore AI. If this discovery changed how you see the past, subscribe, share, and join us again. Because history doesn't just tell us where we've been, it reveals the patterns we're still following today.